Well, hello everyone, and you join us here today to have a look back at some of our favourites from Watches and Wonders, and to do something a little different. We're going to find a bunch of cheaper versions of those watches so you don't have to spend all your money. Tom, I know you're a big fan of not spending all your money, so how did you find it looking for some cheaper versions to these watches?
Yeah, okay. There are some easier than others. Obviously, sometimes you just have to cut your losses, don't you? And just say, that is never going to be mine.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, these watches cost more for a reason. Hopefully, we've found some good alternatives that people will actually enjoy. So Tom and I are going to go head-to-head with this. We're going to pose different watches. And what we'd like you to do, dear viewer and listener, is to tell us who you think got the best choices, whose roundup was better. Let us know in the comments below. Alternatively, Tom and I can fight it to the death in the work car park. Let's jump straight into it because we've got a few. We've got 5 different watches that we have picked out. The first one, of course, is the green Rolex GMT Master 2. What was your pick for that?
So I completely ignored the left-handed nature of that because who cares, And I'm allowed to say that because I'm left-handed as well, so I won't be offending any southpaws. So I just went for a green GMT.
Yeah.
I went for the Baltic Aquascaf GMT in green.
The minty fresh edition.
Yeah. The two-tone, you've got the minty green for fresh breath, and then you've got the cool blue, which fights plaque, I believe. And yeah, but I really love these Baltics. I think they've got a really nice, subtle vintage styling. I really love the dome crystal. It looks really nice and tactile and smooth. Mm-hmm. And it's got a green GMT hand, and that's what everyone was so excited about. So I've got you covered there. And it's only about $800, $900 as well. So
yeah,
massive savings.
And if you really do want it to be a left-handed watch, you can quite simply flip the bezel around and set the hands at what would now be your new 10-2 and just pretend like the word Baltic isn't upside down. It would still technically work.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
It's like when you ride a bicycle with the controls that go the other way. You get used to it. When you go back again, it'll be tricky. But
yeah, so that's some sort of hazing ritual you're subjected to.
I don't know. I think I saw it in a YouTube video, but I'm not sure if I dreamt it at this point.
Right.
So similar sort of vibe to you, really. I threw the left-handed bit out of the window pretty soon after I couldn't find any left-handed GMT watches and went solidly for the green. I think green is the big feature of Watches and Wonders this year as opposed to the left-handed, so I think it's fine to go that route.
Sure.
I've spent a little bit more than you have, which is £7,000-8,000, somewhere around there. I went for the strangely named Seiko Pressarge sharp-edged SPB 219J1. This is very, very clearly Seiko, but it's got that new sharp-edged vibe, which we spoke about before, didn't we, I think?
Yeah, they're cool. I really like them. They are sharp.
They are. You get that very, very grand Seiko-esque textured special dial. A really nice sunburst green going on that has a huge amount of depth and colour variation. No green GMT hand, I'm afraid. It is yellow here, but I think a green GMT hand would pretty much disappear against the dial. But yeah, the infamous power reserve on the dial, some lovely wide grand Seiko-esque hands. It may be £1,000, but I think actually you get a lot more grand Seiko-ishness than Seiko-ishness for your money.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely creeping into Grand Seiko territory there. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'd pitch it as a value proposition to be closer in terms of quality to the GMT Master from Rolex, but for money that's a lot further down towards the affordable end.
Yeah, great.
So next watch, Tom, the venerable Vacheron 222, the talk of the town, the little gold watch that could. What are you spending your money on that saves from the £50,000 retail price of the 222?
Right, well, why have silk when you can have cotton? And why have 24 karat gold when you can have stainless steel gold PVD?
Why indeed?
More importantly, why pay £50,000 when you can pay 400?
Yeah.
I'm going for the Tissot PRX in gold, and specifically the 35mm version, which is the new addition to the PRX lineup. Now, you may say it was because of public outcry. People were saying these watches are a little bit too long, they're a bit too big for the smaller wrist, and Tissot have addressed that and said, oh, okay, here's some 35mm. But they're actually saying that wasn't the case, and they're saying this is closer to the original. This is actually 1-to-1 replica of the original Tissot. I think it was a C-Star back from 79. Yeah, but it tells a lot of the same story that the Vacheron 222 is saying. You've got that gold integrated 70s-ness, and I think it looks really cool. I think the chasm in price is massive, but actually from a distance you probably get away with it.
It's less than 1% of the price, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've done that wrong. That doesn't seem right. £400 goes to £4,000 goes to £40,000.
Yeah, right.
That's less than 1% of the price of the 222, which is bananas. But you're right. This really captures a lot of what the 222 is about. Keeping those old sizes, all in gold, very, very traditional. They've not over furnished it with finishing and fanciness. It's very, very simple, and that's what really appealed to me about the 222 was actually kind of how bare bones it was. You've done a good job there, Tom, and now I'm kind of embarrassed to say my one, but I will anyway for the sake of this video. I went with the far more expensive, I think this is going to be a theme, Tudor Royal in steel and gold.
Right.
So we don't quite get the full gold look, but we do have that gold dial, gold bezel, gold center links, if you like. Yeah, I feel like I've let you down on this one. The PRX is much better than this. The Tudor's good, but the PRX definitely is closer to the ethos of the 222.
Well, I don't know, better brand recognition, and it's still got that sporty elegance thing going on, hasn't it? I think you would still look good, in this, the Tissot and the Vacheron 222 in a white suit on the beach.
Panama hat.
Yeah, with a big bright blue cocktail. It's going to tick those boxes as well, isn't it? The one thing for me is I'm not sure about the bezel, that kind of...
It does look like it wants to be turned, but I presume you just unscrew it.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely try to turn that every time.
Did you ever do that at school? You just sort of take your pen apart and put it back together?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But Tudor, you have great quality, brand recognition. That's real gold you're seeing here. That's not gold-coloured steel.
Points for that.
Points for that, definitely. If you do want to... Oh, no, I said the wrong price. It is £2,630. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can get it all in grey and just pretend it's white gold, I guess, for £1,780.
Yeah. Or when the Vacheron 222 in steel comes out, you'll be closer to that.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I'm one step ahead of the game.
Awesome.
Well, another watch... Sorry, go on.
I was just saying awesome.
Another watch that really caught our eye at Watches and Wonders was the Grand Seiko Koda. Very inspiring for its ingenuity, for its finishing, for its just general Japanesey goodness. So, Tom, I think this is going to be a hard one to really do any service to for cheap.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Well, I sort of pitched the idea of finding a bargain version of this as a joke, but you went with it anyway. So I've not...
I don't do jokes.
I've not in any way tried to match spec or any kind of complication or anything like that, or even skeletonization. I've gone down more the traditional Japanese route, which was abundant in that watch. You know, you had that samurai style strap and that Koda heartbeat, you know, the Japanese drum sort of vibe. So I've just tried to kind of go with that. And actually what I've just sort of taken this as an opportunity to remind people about the Citizen, which is Citizen's high-end lineup. And they've got a couple of new releases coming out in the autumn of this year. The catchily named Eco Drive with annual accuracy of ±1 second and the Eco Drive with annual accuracy of ±5 second.
Per year, I'd like to add.
Yeah, I mean, great accuracy, but not a catchy title for a lineup of watches. But they are exquisite, and they feature a hand-dyed Izumi washi paper dial, which is a traditional Japanese paper used in their paper lanterns and screen doors and things like that. And Izumi means Japan blue, and they're just amazing watches. I'm
assuming with that beautiful paper texture dial that there will be some ignorant Westerner come bursting through it at any moment.
Where do I get my noodles at? Cut that.
But yeah, I love as well. I love the title, The Citizen. Viewers may remember Ferrari's Ultimate Ferrari, which they called La Ferrari. And this is very much in the same vein, but with a more Japanese twist. This is The Citizen with a kind of a faux Englishman's bowler hat on, sipping a glass of whiskey.
Sure.
But it's great to see Grand Seiko getting some whoop ass, getting some competition going on.
Yeah, they're scared. They are getting chased around the ring with a steel chair at this point. So it's got one of these versions is limited, and that has the Caliber 0100S, which is this Eco Drive, and you can actually see it through the sapphire caseback, and it looks amazing for a solar powered quartz movement. It looks great. But yeah, as I say, these won't be available to the autumn, and they are yet to be marked with a price. So I don't know if these will be a bargain or not. I think the current existing watches that are available are about £4,000, £5,000, and they're not available in the UK or the US and most of Europe. Currently, the Citizen boutiques are in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Japan, and there are some in France as well. So maybe you could nip over to France and have a look. But I just wanted to draw them to people's attention and maybe get a bit of buzz going. Maybe get them over here. I'd love to see one.
Yeah, get that buzz going for all those people who can't actually buy one because they're not available in their country.
Yeah, but if we kick up enough of a fuss, then maybe they'll be like, oh, people are interested in our product. Let's make it available to them.
I see what you're saying. In the same way that when you complained about Tissot, they miraculously produced a smaller version of the PRX not but a week later.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always work because some watch companies don't understand, like, people wanting their watches and making them available. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing to overcome, but yeah, let's try.
Yeah, Patek Philippe's Mr. Stern still hasn't returned my phone call with all my good ideas. But what can you do? While we're calling out Citizen, actually, I'd also like to point out the Caliber 0200, which I really, really like the look of. Great looking movement inside. I want to see more of that stuff.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
Okay, well, for my alternative to the Koda, I've gone down a different route. I've strayed away from the Japanese and gone to Swiss, but I've taken the approach of doing watchmaking in a very special and unique and technologically interesting way. So the Koda had the constant force tourbillon that had the cage within a cage within a cage, rumble in the jungle, ticking, jeweled, constant force tourbillon.
Right.
This is, and I haven't really heard anyone talking about it, maybe we'll go on to explore it in a little bit more detail in the future. This is the Frederic Constant Slimline Monolithic. It is £4,000.
Sure.
Which is still magnitudes cheaper than the Koda. And you might be thinking, why are you showing me a Frederic Constant? Don't they just make nice looking watches that are fairly straightforward? Yes, they do, but this one is anything but. Because what they've gone and done here is they've taken 26 components of the escapement, thrown them all in the bin, and replaced them with just one. So I don't know if you've heard of compliant mechanisms.
Wait, didn't you ask me this before when we were talking about a Patek?
Yes, yeah. So Patek Philippe has their advanced research department where they play with the material silicon to create compliant mechanisms to create very, very interesting escapements. You remember Patek Philippe's obsession with silicon, right?
Sure, yeah. The bendy movements that bend in and out of different shapes.
Exactly, yeah. Compliant in the sense that they can elastically move from one position to another, not enough to break, but enough to move between different positions. And Frederic Constant has managed to create an escapement of one piece that is made entirely out of silicon. Fascinating.
Wow, clever.
So,
very clever.
Yeah, those Patek Philippe's cost, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, $500,000. This is £4,000 for a similar thing. And that's not all, because this particular escapement doesn't just beat 8 times per second like an ordinary one does, it beats 80 times per second. 10 times as much.
That's just a blur.
It literally is. People will see the video. It vibrates backwards and forwards like a crazy thing. But it still manages to have an 80-hour power reserve.
Nice.
40mm diameter, usual sort of thickness. It's really quite incredible, and no one's really mentioned it. And it's a fascinating watch.
Yeah, it's great. It looks amazing. And again, it's that beautiful melding of very traditional looking watch and very complicated technology.
Yeah, it really is. I would very much like to see one in the flesh. It's still up for pre-order. I believe there are only going to be 800 or so, 810 pieces. And there is a big note on the product page that says, "This product is not available in Germany."
Sorry, Germany, but...
Well, I have a theory. If anyone is familiar with Mercedes Project 1 car, the very, very bold project to put a Formula 1 engine in a road car, that has been in production hell for years in trying to make it work. I would imagine that there are still some teething issues with this particular watch, and that the rules in Germany mean that those teething issues so far mean it can't be sold there. That's my guess. Be very interested to know if anyone has any other understanding as to why.
Interesting.
But this is so cutting edge.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well then, from an absolute masterpiece to a bargain in itself, we saw and heard a lot of buzz around Tudor's Black Bay Pro, which is a reimagining of Rolex's own Explorer 2 from the 70s. Really, really nice looking watch, the Tudor. Great quality, great innovation with those ceramic markers and stuff like that. It's going to be tricky to find a watch that serves a similar purpose for even cheaper. What you got?
Yeah, this was a hard one because it's already a bargain, relatively speaking. So yeah, I struggled with this one. My initial thought was, so I've gone to Oris, and that's what I've settled with. And my initial thought was, what about the ProPilot X, which they also announced at Watches and Wonders, but that's around the same price, but still a cool watch.
Yep.
So I actually just landed on the Oris times Servo Volante.
Oh, the big crown pointer collection.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So it's a really cool looking watch, and it's got some nice vintage vibes about it. It's got a similar simple case, 38mm, so quite small. It's got a GMT hand, but it's not really, but it looks like one, so that sort of ticks that box. And 3 nice dial colours. There's a nice sort of sea blue there, which is probably my preference, or a nice sunbursty smoky grey, or a green. And I think we should come back to Oris on a sort of broader topic, because I think they're worth talking about. Their watches are nicely positioned and priced, and I like their message. So yeah, I thought I'd just get one of those in there.
Bring, 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 bring. Hello, who's that? Oh, hi, it's Tom phoning it in. That's a terrible choice. It's a lovely watch. That's a terrible choice.
I thought it was Oris with my check.
I'm not going to give you that one at all. We'll see what our dear viewers and listeners think. It's not a GMT. It's not really an Explorer's watch. It's certainly nice. It's certainly vintage appeal. Lovely cathedral hands there, and the pointer date, which you're hoping you'll be able to fool people into thinking it's a GMT hand. But you're right. Something that really impressed me with Oris when we spoke to them at Watches and Wonders was their commitment to sustainability. And I know some people will probably go, oh, that's just some sort of corporate tick box they have to do. But whether or not it is, if they're doing it, that's all right by me.
Sure.
So half points. I think I'm going to blow your socks off with my choice, however. This is the Smiths Everest, the PRS 25. This is a watch from a revived brand, but this actually has a pedigree in being a watch worn on Everest. Looks like the Explorer, so that ticks the Explorer box. Doesn't have the GMT hand because it's more like the Explorer 1 than the Explorer 2. 36mm, so very lovely vintage vibes. Gilt dial, nice Explorer markers, all of that loveliness, and £325.
Bargain.
I will have to take some negative points because it is sold out, but there will be more available soon.
Oh, cool. Also, you have to take negative points because Smiths. I mean, who? I was Oris. Smiths they make crisps and they're a toy shop, and there's nothing about Smiths that's luxury. So, how about that?
Well, I'll give you some stats then, and I'll write them down on pieces of paper so you can eat them. The Smiths Watch Company was founded in 1851.
Ooh, heritage.
Smiths also sponsored that expedition up of Everest. You know, the one that Rolex always bangs on about being worn by Tenzing Norgay. The actual expedition was sponsored by Smiths, so they've kind of lost out there. And the watch wasn't worn by Sir Edmund Hillary, but it was carried by him as part of a contractual obligation. So like, I mean, if you're talking for 300 odd quid, that's quite a lot of heritage that they've earned that you're not spending very much money for. And do you know the real cherry on the cake for Smiths? They also had a long-established contract with British Rail.
Oh.
Notorious for not being on time.
Oh, well, we won't hold that against them. Yeah, it's a lovely watch, and that's a great price. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. Good one.
That's under... Oh, it's £300 is your limit, isn't it?
That's all right, I can stretch.
It starts with a 3, that's close enough. £325.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to ask people about that particular round. I think I very much smashed you into oblivion with that one. So let's see if you can rein it back in again for the last round, which is Patek Philippe's unexpected Calatrava 5226G, which I'm not sure about, but a lot of people have reacted to very fondly. Very sporty, got that textured dial, got a bit of smokiness going on, got some 1930s vibes. Going to be a hard one to match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered with any kind of world timer functionality. I think that's going to bump the price up, and no one really needs that anyway. It's rubbish.
Keep it simple, Switzerland.
Exactly, yeah. So I've just gone for a nice kind of warmth and travel-y vibes and a nice textured dial, and I've gone with a Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer. And we've talked about the Pilot Pioneer series before, but I think it's worth bringing up again because they're just great watches at a great price point. And I think what was really nice about that Patek was that crunchy dial texture, and this has got that, and it's got that nice kind of warmth in the numerals and markings as well, and nice cathedral hands as well. So yeah, really cool, nice clean watch. Yeah, I like it. £1,200, $1,200.
There's certainly some nice pilot's watch vibes going on there as well. That real 1930s inspired. Warmth is definitely the right term for that.
Yeah,
it has it. That Calatrava just has that something warm about it that feels nice and fuzzy and cozy, and this very much carries that too. I'm disappointed to see that you found one with that texture, because the one I found doesn't have that texture at all.
What you got?
Similar sort of place. Longines Heritage Classic Tuxedo, £1,680. Has that creaminess, has that contrast, has those sort of pointy hands and big numbers and stuff like that. But instead of a smoky dial that fades from black to creamy in the middle, mine just has a hard line.
No feathering. And
it doesn't have any, no feathering. Feathering turned to 0. And it doesn't have the texture either. I was quite pleased with that, but now I'm not so pleased. Still a nice watch though.
Yeah. It was. I thought the Calatrava was evocative of. It felt a bit sort of English, patient, and kind of warm climates and travel-y, and And this is a bit more elegant than that, but it's still. I think it still ticks that box.
I will say that yours is 43 millimeters, which is the size of a side serving plate. Mine is 38, which is more in keeping with the Patek Philippe's elegance and simplicity and understatedness. So I think I gained some points back for that.
Yeah, that's more my style. 43 is probably that's probably have to say I'd probably have to pass on that, actually.
It'd be wearing you rather than you wearing it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So there you have it, 5 very, very popular watches from Watches and Wonders and 10 budget alternatives. Who do you think, dear viewer and listener, did these watches the best service with their cheap alternatives? I think, Tom, you definitely got some, and I definitely got others. I think it's a close fight, for sure, closer than I expected. I did think that my superior knowledge would wipe the floor with yours, but you did a good job. You should be pleased with yourself.
Thanks, I tried.
You did. And dear viewer and listener, if you have any alternatives, really obvious ones that we no doubtedly missed, post those in the comments below as well. If you'd like to see us go head-to-head again on some bargain alternatives, let us know. Tell us what category we should think of next. And until then, we're going to go and look at some more cheap watches and perhaps add some to basket. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, it's always an urge.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.